First, this is awesome. Thank you all for coming. To my knowledge, something like this has never been done, and I don't know statewide if it's done even statewide. So the core of everything that we were trying to accomplish is to get the state delegation, the sheriff, county council, and the school board at its core to be able to communicate with each other. And it was pretty obvious that everybody wanted to participate. Out of the 17 of that core, 16 within like 2-3 hours responded that they were definitely for. So I think this says a lot about Pickens County and where we're going. Yesterday in church, ran across a quote, and also in reading last night, also ran across it. So I felt like it was something that probably should mention today. But it is Proverbs 3:15. Blessed is the one who finds wisdom and the one who gets understanding. And I think many of you, the county council, that campaigned on the lack of communication between our levels of government. I think that was a pretty good issue to campaign on. So the whole point of this is, if the public doesn't realize, in the past, at least in my 2 years, the state delegation would meet with the school board once. We never met with county council, and to my knowledge, school board, county council, no meetings. So there was a lack of communication there. And I want these members to be clear about what we're trying to do. It has nothing to do with actual action items. That's what y'all are doing at school board, county council, or us at the state house. This is purely communication. This is not a time to argue between each other. It's not a time to espouse your own views. For example, if we get to the part of me going roads, I'm not going to talk about what I think we should do. It's about what we have done and what we're capable of doing, and CTC, for example, what they plan on doing. So I'm going to try to keep any of my bias out of it, and I ask that y'all think about that when y'all are doing your updates, and then when you're doing your presentation. The vision is, this is our first meeting, and what I can see, like I just said, well, out of the 16 or 17, out of the 16 or the 17 that said that they were going to come, 15 will be 4 years or less of experience. In 10 years from now, none of us are going to be in these spots, more than likely. So what I hope we do is set the foundation for Pickens County in 10 years, and how great it would be to come back at their 50th meeting. None of us here today still rocking and rolling. And I think about, the Commerce part, for example. I should know, but I don't know who all the major players were that had that vision and did that. But we're paying dividends now. And Judge Clary's going to talk about dyslexia and what we're doing statewide, and specifically here in Pickens County. If second grade teacher this year is trained and finds that dyslexic student, we're not going to pay dividends for that for 10, 20 years. And that's the point. That's what we're trying to do, is have a better future for Pickens County. So just want to make sure everybody knows what our purpose is, that we're here to communicate, and that we're also what our vision is. I'm not naive to think everybody around this table knows everybody. Also, I don't know if it was clear, and also so it's clear to the public. We're having the first one here in Easley. I went by population. The next one's going to be in Clemson, and Mayor Cook has already got us to City Hall. And then we're going to go down our cities and towns, and then the mayors and that city council is going to have an opportunity to talk to these levels of government as well. So I guess if we'll start and just go around, just real quickly, say who you are, what your spot is, and if you're an elect or whatever it is, and then we'll go into the actual agenda. If you'll think, and I didn't prepare the people who are speaking, but if you'll go ahead and start thinking, for the updates, we're looking at around 5 minutes. We're gonna be a hard 1:30. Everybody has schedules and stuff like that. So even if we get down to road update and I haven't started, we're gonna stop. So please keep your updates to about 5 minutes. The topics, we'll see how much time we have. More than likely, it's gonna be about 10 minutes. And try to keep time period there, about 10 minutes there for question and answers among the people. So with that, I guess, Philip, will you start us and go around?
Yeah, I'm Phil Bowers, school board, I'm from 6-5. Jim Robinson, Easley City Council.
David Burke, Superintendent. Rex Rice, South Carolina Senate here in Easley.
Gary Clary, House District 3. David Hyde, House District 4.
Chris Bowers, Council-elect here in Easley.
Rick Clark, Sheriff.
And I'm Kent Dykes, City Council in Easley.
I'm Lisa, I'm a reporter with Southern West Wayne University. I just happen to be sitting at this table.
I told her she helped to look for this table, so that was all right. I'm J.C. Cook, I'm Mayor of the City of Clemson, and look forward to hosting you on October the 31st, and please don't wear costumes.
Thomas Rice, Easley City Council.
Larry Bauer, Mayor of Easley, we're glad to have you here. And thank you for all this warning you gave us.
Wes Hendricks, Pickens County Council, District 311.
Shannon Haskett, candidate for school board, District 3.
Brian Swords, School Board, Liberty area.
Bill Collins, State House, Easley.
Wade Costner, county elect for Liberty.
Carl Hudson, County Council, District 6, elect.
Eddie Bagley, I'm a candidate for the Pickens County School Board and from Clemson.
And I share Lisa's, I just sort of sat down because I was talking to Betty and Betty.
And I'm Betty Garrison, candidate for District 5 School Board seat here in Easley.
I'm Chris Mann, Easley City Council.
All right, with that, I guess we'll open to Chairman.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for putting all this together. Thank everybody that's here. We'll give you a quick update because we're not in session right now, and so things that are going on now are just some summer committee meetings and some different things going on around the State House. But I will tell you that October 3rd and 4th, the chairman's meeting will take place in Columbia, a 2-day event where the speaker and the 6th chairman of the committee, sitting standing committee, will get together for 2 days and go over kind of the agenda for next year's, to sort of get us started. It's not the actual agenda, but it sort of gets the ball rolling for the State House and what we can present to the Republican caucus at our caucus meeting in October. When's our caucus meeting? The 21st or 20th or something? 19th to the 21st. Yeah. So we're having our Republican caucus meeting in Hilton Head at the end of October. So we'll have a little information to give them from the chairman's meeting. Some of you may have seen we have about $440 million that they talk about extra this year. Of course, there's probably about $3 billion in request. So, you know, you can do the math. I don't have to do it for you. $440 million doesn't go very far when you're talking about even fixing a road. We've got the local government fund that all of you sitting around this table are very concerned about.
I had that on my list.
I'm sure you do. Well, we have time for discussion in a little while, Mayor. Just be quiet. But local government funds are obviously an issue that everybody's concerned about. I'm sure it'll be addressed. Hopefully we can do something about that. We've got the pension fund. So I'm sure many of you and some of you in this room are very concerned about the pension fund that is about $1 billion short. So we've got to find a way to start addressing that. Education, Dr. Merck, I'm sure you're concerned about education. You and the school board members that have to pay the bills with what we send you over there. And then we don't even, that doesn't even address roads that Neil's been talking about in a little while. So you can see we've got plenty to do. Got a lot of things on our mind, a lot of things that are coming up. That's just the things that we know about. There's always things that hit us once we get down there in January. And so $440 million won't go very far. But we'll address them as we come to them. And we certainly want to hear your input on, obviously we know you want local government fund fully funded. We know you want education fully funded. And we We want our roads fixed, we want the pension fixed. But that's part of that $6 billion request for that $440 million. So it'll be a challenging year in the State House, but we certainly look forward to talking to you about these issues, and we'll address them as we come to them. I'll turn it over now to the sheriff. I think he's had something to do.
Thanks, sir. If you don't mind, hear from back to y'all, that'd be probably too much. Of course, we can get I just probably can express how much it thrills me to see in this room. I've been on the Liberty City Council for years as sheriff, finishing up first term, and come together like this, it's a great future I think we've got ahead. We've got so much potential for Pickens County, and it's just going to be a great thing for us all working together. There's so many friends in this room, I think we're unstoppable. Let me give you a quick roundup over the weekend. In about a 2-hour span Saturday night, we had 3 deaths. 2 in a mobile home, which we think the husband, both in their 80s, went into. Maybe he went back to try to get her, and both perished in that. So, and those types of things with deaths, we call it a SLED arson team, who is highly advanced and highly trained to take care of those. We're working in cooperation with them. So that was that night. And then at the same time, over off Plot Lane, over in the Saluda Lake area, we had a stabbing. The person deceased there, so that guy's in jail. And during the, later on Saturday night, we had a shooting down at the cottages in Clemson. That's one of the things that we're working on. We've got to go back in and tighten that area up a good bit. That's about 400 or 500 students in a fenced-in area that, and they're nice, kind of nice homes that gets out of hand. So just on the phone with the president of that company that owns it today, and we're going to fix some things. They may not like it, but we're going to fix some things down there. So that's been part of our community action team that's been down there. We created a community action team to go after problems just like that. And they're kind of getting out and taking care of problems across the county. So that was just kind of a weekend to wrap up there. But one of the things we want to really talk about, of course, everybody has been in the paper lately about our jail. We're moving ahead with that. We've done a lot of design work so far. They've done core sampling around we're going to attach it to the LEC and where our operations are all together. And so it's been just a great step forward on our jail. Just today, our jail is rated for, some of y'all know, it's for 91 people. Today, we have 205 in it. And so you can imagine the liability we're under, and council went ahead and approved the jail before probably the state made us. So it's a big move forward there. And there's just really no other options to go with the jail. So we look forward to that, a lot safer for our people, a lot of updates. In fact, when we're doing some design work, last Wednesday we had to go through everything from the security system to the carpet on the floor. And I've never been so tired that at the end of that day of all those decisions, I told myself, my decision makers burn out. But anyway, through that thing, we were so kind of behind, and they were talking about this type of security system of these doors and this electronic network. But it took us about 5 or 10 minutes to get our head wrapped around things are done today instead of how they were done in 1970 when the jail was built. So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a tremendous help to us and a great liability taken off of Pickens County. Why we hadn't had somebody die there due to the facility itself is kind of beyond reason. But thank goodness we're moving ahead, and the new council is coming forward. They seem to be supportive of it, so it's just a great step ahead. And the main thing is a great step ahead for our detention officers who do some hard work in tough conditions that y'all never hear about. So very proud of them. One thing that along with that, and which I'll be on our state delegation, is talk about mental health and behavioral health. Behavioral health is treatment addiction. It's one of the I didn't think when I was running for sheriff that would be probably my top thing that I've been an advocate for, is mental health and behavioral health. A couple years ago, we applied for a grant to get counselors in the jail, and that kind of fell apart. But we had such a good relationship with mental health and behavioral health here in the county that we went for another grant that's through behavioral health, through DEODIS, which is drug and alcohol out of the state. And we got a grant, so we're now just starting to put 2 counselors in for mental health and behavioral health. We think we're going to maybe be able to change some lives, and it's not going to be a great success 100% that we're changing people's lives, but maybe that one that we change and get off meth or whatever that doesn't kill one of my officers or doesn't shoot or attack one of my detention officers or somebody out there. So we got that. So we now just started last month where we got 2 counselors in the jail about 2 or 3 days a week. And the one thing that's already done so far that you don't think about is the calmness in the jail has increased, because the people who probably are worst people in the jail are getting to talk with somebody, getting to be there. And so even if it doesn't help on the outside, which we think it will, it's helping on the inside and making things calmer. And that's a big deal inside the jail. Which brings me to the next point that I'll stare at some of our delegation, is our mental health problem overall, from what our officers face on the street to what we face in the jail. And over the years, the cutting's been cut to mental health across the state. We don't have the main hospital in Columbia anymore for our more violent people with mental illness. And we've got to do something where we have people caught in the juxtaposed between the legal system and being the mental illness system, or being adjudicated mentally ill. And sometimes we'll have people in our jail for 200 days, 300 days, because they're sitting there in limbo between the two. And that's one of the things that we've got to increase or shorten the time that people are in the mental illness system, where they're with us and they're not in the hospital where they should be. And that's been a huge thing over the past few years. Last year, I think they got 2 or 3, 4 million, a little extra, but that's cutting it down from the 10 million that they had before. So those are the type of things we're facing at Sheriff's Office. We've got a great staff, and out on the road, our guys are doing great. And we've helped upgrade their equipment since 2013 coming in, and it's just been a good time. And we look forward to now the cooperation in this room. The sky's the limit for what we can do.
So the county council has a complete overhaul here, and I guess, Wes, you mentioned you would.
Yeah.
I know you can't update probably on what's going on with county council.
I'll tell you about some of the stuff we've been doing. And Dollar Tree glasses, my little ones are in the car. But I'd like to echo what Sheriff Clark is saying. This is exciting with everybody working together. And the new council guys, we've all been talking a lot, meeting amongst ourselves, meeting with different entities. We're learning fast, and we're opening communication lines and making sure people know that we're accessible and they know how to get in touch with us. One thing that's been astounding is learning that in the past, like Roy and I were at Farm Bureau, they talked about how odd it was to have a county council there. Well, hopefully, in the future, they won't say it's odd to have a county council member there. Hopefully, because we work with you guys, as they say, when we work together, it's a team, and team means together everybody accomplishes more. And some of the things we have been doing, we've been one or all 4 of us or whatever, one part or all parts, whatever, and since we're not sworn in, we're not a quorum, so we can do this. We've been meeting with some people such, so one or all of us met with the sheriff, county fire chief, that's the issue we have to tackle, the fire plan, Tri-County Tech, the Success Center they do it down there. I will tell you this, it's going to help our students in Pickens. I work especially with kids. We lose so many of our kids that qualify for lottery money to get full scholarships down there. They have a great support system in our schools and our school district to help them get through, whether it's an English class or a math class that may struggle. And some of you may be the same way. My daddy says, if I got a calculator, I can do math. Well, we have students like that in our schools. They can work circles around everybody else, stay good except in one area. Unfortunately, some of our guys, they go to Tech with full scholarship, and they struggle in that one area. When they struggle in that one area, they end up losing their money and end up having to drop out. With this Success Center, some of the things they're going to offer down there to our students from Pickens County and other places is a place for them to get the extra support system that they need, so they can get that degree, so they can get a better job, have a better way of life, and be better tax contributors and definitely not tax consumers. So that's very important, that what they're doing down there. It's very nice to see that and get more inside. We met Duke Energy, some of those folks. Also, county administrator, we've met with him, talking to him constantly. We're learning some things we don't know any more about than you do, because we're not privy to that information because we haven't been sworn in yet. But again, we're working hard, trying to learn everything we can. I'd like to thank all the four guys that are four people going off of council. They've all offered support, reached out to us, and we're gonna listen to them. May not agree, or they might agree with us, but we're gonna listen to them and learn from them. It's very important, and I'm thankful for that. Just you guys, we getting on real good, and I think y'all will be really excited about what we can accomplish when everybody's working together. And if Roy or Chris or Carl, anything y'all would like to add that I didn't touch on, please feel free to do so. But things are looking good for us.
School board, I'm not sure who's,
So we do my
you want to do that?
consolidation now, or wait? I can do it. It'll take slightly longer than 5 minutes, but I will go.
I got it, Chris.
No, it should be right, it just has to warm up a minute. And Rick, I may need you to help me. It's supposed to connect automatically, right? It did earlier.
Sure.
Thanks, you keeps.
Are you got your output on your computer, right?
I had it pulled up earlier, I didn't know whether I was gonna do this now or later.
Yeah, it's next on time.
It connects on its own. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go quickly through this. As far as our consolidation, that's kind of been the big deal this last year. A lot of people still upset about it, but it's one of those things we had to do. This is the letter that was put out by the district. This is online. If you want to know how to get this public information, anybody can find it. Basically, we consolidated the schools listed there. I'm going to talk a little bit to you in a minute about census trends. This kind of helps you understand the why. Oftentimes when I speak to people, they're really upset with me in the beginning, but after I kind of explained why we had to do some of the things we did, it's a little easier. So I'll explain census trends, enrollment, the cost savings. I just want to mention that briefly. This is general fund cost savings expected 6.5. We expect that to be a little more in the end. There's also considerable cost savings down there at the bottom, if you can see that. If you add in the capital expenditures that we were looking at, comes up to be 8.5 million.
Bill, can I ask you a quick question before you get past that one slide?
Yes.
Go all the way back up to the front, to the start, if you don't mind. Right there where it says the district will perform minimal maintenance on Lewis and Holly Springs for up to 1 year. I understand y'all already stripped Holly Springs.
I went up there the other day and went through. It's in good shape. They did take all the technology out of it because of vandalism and theft and so forth. But it's still in really good shape. They took all the materials. Where's Danny? That's a question for Danny.
We got a custodian working half a day up there every day maintaining everything, the technology was taken out. Otherwise, it's maintained.
It's in really good shape. I went up there to Holly Springs and A.R. Lewis.
I had that question asked of me, that's the reason I asked it.
Go up there and take a look at it.
I don't doubt you, I'm just.
It's being maintained in good shape. But we took out everything we could use somewhere else we used it and still let it sit there. That was one of the complaints with the building program. They left technology in the old buildings. As a matter of fact, out here at Getty's, I understand there's still pro boards hanging on the wall. So we didn't want to have that problem. Academic impact, I'll talk a little bit about that in another slide. Some of the things here that the administration determined we could gain by consolidation: extracurricular activities. The smaller schools have fewer teachers, fewer people. You can have fewer coaches. So we have more folks in the school after we consolidated. Collaboration among teachers. We had several instances where there was 1 or 2 teachers in a grade level. The new configuration, you have more teachers at grade level, so you have more support for them. We had part-time efficiency. We had reading coaches, reading interventionists traveling between schools, so they spend half their day driving from one school to another. Now they're stationed at one school, so we get more instruction time out of that. So that was a big advantage for our students. The middle school transition is often difficult for kids from little small schools. They'll be coming from a little bit larger schools, and make that more acceptable. Transportation. Okay, that's all on that one I wanted to cover. I want to go to this. No, I'm sorry, I got one more thing I want to show you. as far as the why. This is the census trends for the Pickens attendance area. The red line, the blue line is 2010, or 2000, and the red line is 2010. You can see as the years go by, the area gets older. Does that make sense? The red lines are growing taller, the blue lines are growing shorter, which are shorter from 2010. So basically, we have an aging population in the Pickens area, and the graph down at the bottom shows that more explicitly. Children is down 11, 15, and 11%. You can see there by age group. Childbearing age is also down 19, 17, 17, and 8.9. If you look at the older population, look how it's increasing. 1937, 52% increase in 10 years in the 60 to 64 age group, 48 in the 69. If you total all those up down at the bottom, the school age population has decreased 12% in the Pickens area over 10 years, and the childbearing age has decreased 15% in 10 years.
What does that 80 say up there? 80 to 84. I'm interested in that.
You don't live in Pickens, so it's up as well, 23%. You're fading now. So does that make sense? Basically, what the point was, the population is getting older. You need fewer schools because 80-year-old don't have kids in school generally.
Who's the son to watch the mayor today?
Monday's not my day. Monday's Mr. Wright's day.
Here's another graph that's very beneficial to you. The green obviously is the easily attendance area. You can see it's over time it's increasing slightly. This is the Pickens. It's decreasing pretty significantly over here. This is school-age children. This is, I believe that's Liberty, and no, that must be Daniel Gold. That's Daniel. It's increasing slightly, and Liberty is increasing slightly. So it's just another way of showing the same thing. The school-age population in the Pickens area is just declining. We just don't need as many classroom seats as we did. Another interesting point about this, if you, a lot of people ask, well, why'd you spend all that money to fix those buildings up and build new buildings when you don't have kids to fill them up? Well, I wasn't on the board then. Just get that clear. That was done before my time. But the data was there. The data was there when they started the building program to tell them what was going on. But for whatever reason, they missed it, didn't do it, didn't observe it. You can see back in here in the 7-8 time frame when the new schools were being built and designed, the trend was already there. Had they just looked at the Pickens area trend, they would have said, man, we're not going to need as many classrooms in Pickens going forward. But look, we're going to need more classroom space in Easley and in the Daniel area and very slightly in the Liberty area. Mostly Daniel and Easley are the attendance areas that are growing. And instead of spending money in the Pickens area, which it was obvious if you looked at data, didn't need any more classrooms. If they'd spent that in Easley, we wouldn't be looking at in a few years having to add space at Easley. Easley High School is full. Danny, correct me if I'm wrong. Easley High School is completely full. Daniel High School will be full in a few years. So it was just, I don't want to throw rocks at anybody, but the data was there to tell them what to do. The new school board is looking more at data and less about emotions and feelings. So I wanted to point that out to you, and I think that is the last slide on that one. That's just the raw numbers. Got just a few more minutes, Neil. Am I okay?
Can Easley High be expanded, Philip?
I don't know the answer to that. Is there room to expand Easley High, Dr. Murray?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
160 acres.
160 acres, wow. I didn't know we had that much. Sounds like we can. Okay, I want to talk through these 4 topics, and it's really not much longer, but I want to talk about our challenges, the attendance and capacity trends that I said I'd talk about later, student performance and travel times. I'm trying to rush. Here are some of the challenges we discovered when we begin to look, and Dr. Swords, if you want to chime in, we begin to try to look long-term. The school board for years and years has pretty much lived hand-to-mouth or paycheck to paycheck or however you want to say that, but we begin to look forward and look at what we have. We looked at our challenges. We have over 50 buildings, 3 million square feet of buildings, 3 million, 1,200 acres of land, over 5,000 heating and air conditioning units. There's 70 acres of roofing in the county on schools, on top of schools, 70 acres. If anybody, you just ride around your neighborhoods, there's practically roofing work going on with somebody's house all the time in your neighborhood. Imagine having 70 acres to keep up. This is part of the reason we began to say, man, we've got to find a way to begin saving some money and reducing costs, because we won't be able to raise taxes enough to cover all that. Capital needs, 5-year look ahead is about $8 million when this was done. We were able to refinance our long-term bonds that were used for the building program, and we were able to get $3.2 million recurring dollars every year to help pay to maintain some of this stuff, along with a few other things.
If I can interject something there, Phil. Before Philip and I and a couple others came on the school board, you saw the needs that are out there. There was no mechanism in place for funding any type of maintenance or capital projects. That's where we were as a district prior to a couple of years ago. That's why it's been so painful the last couple of years for us to be able to develop that recurring funding, because the maintenance is not going away. You build these new schools, now you got to maintain them. And that's been the problem, is trying to figure out how to maintain them. And that's been the main one for the last 2 years.
That was a great segue into this slide. This explains that. This chunk, the red lines are the expected needs, capital expenditures needed, such as roofs, heating, air conditioning, and so forth. This clump right here, we've been pushing, the school board has been pushing that out for years, not doing it. Deferred maintenance, whatever you want to call it, just not doing work. That's a big chunk of money. You can see there, I'd say the average is probably about $8 million, $7 or $8 million, if you average those red lines. That's where it needs to be done right now, but we don't have the money to do all of it. The elephant in the room is all this work out here. See all these red lines? This is when the new buildings that we built 15, 20 years ago, that's when the maintenance on those buildings kick in. So again, when the board began to look at this, we said, we cannot, it's been a political hot potato. We've all taken heat from all sorts of directions for it. But the majority of the board said, we cannot continue to push this chunk of money that needs to be spent into this chunk of money. Because guess what happens? It gets worse. So this is things like the Career Center, and I can't read that, but you can see the years when it comes in. But we just bit the bullet. The majority of the board has said, we've got to cut costs and find a way to begin doing some long-term maintenance. So that's a pretty telling slide there for you. I want to talk just a minute about attendance. This is in order by the smallest to largest school. Holly Springs was our smallest school, Air Lewis next, Hammer was the next. The blue lines are the capacity. So you can see Holly Springs, Air Lewis, and Ambler and Hagen were about half full. Clemson, on the other hand, 800 students, it'll only hold 1,000. You can see some of the West End, bigger schools. We have a good bit of space in some of them still, particularly around Easley. Clemson's getting close. I expect we'll have to put some more classroom space down there before too many years. Here's the capacity. These are elementary schools in each of the attendance areas. Daniels at 70% with 3 schools, Easley 62 with 5 schools, Pickens 60% with 6 schools. Talk more about that in a minute. And Liberty at 57% with 2 schools. Now, you may not be able to see that in the back, but it breaks it down. The 70% in the Daniel area is spread across 3 schools. 6 miles at 92%. It's actually higher than that this year. When this was done, it was 92%. Central's a little low, it's still right around 60. And Clemson, did they pick up any students, Dan?
About 860.
About 860, so they didn't grow much this year. So there's not much potential to gain efficiency there. And the same for Liberty and Easley. I won't go into those. But back to the consolidation, which is kind of the topic I wanted to go over. Pickens had 6 schools. And if you look at the percentage, 46% capacity, 48, 50, 55, 70, and 80 for Dacusville. The way we termed it, there's considerable potential for consolidation there, because you've got basically 4 schools sitting there half full. You just don't need that many schools to meet the need to students. Another thing I talked about was the capital expenditures. Those 4 schools, we were looking at having to spend $4.2 million on those schools over the next couple of years. Heating, air conditioning, all sorts of other things that need to be done, roofs. I can't remember all the stuff, but anyway, if we kept all 4 of those schools open, there's quite a bit of capital dollars need to be spent. Student performance. You may have heard that students do better in small schools. I used to think that myself. You would think, oh, smaller schools got to be better for students. Well, in some cases that is, but this is a graph that shows there are 639 elementary schools in South Carolina. If you take the top quartile, the top 25%, there are 159 of those schools. If you rank those by performance, if you rank those, 65 of those very best schools in the state are over 700 students. 30 of them are over 600, 22 or 25 and 6, and you can read that. You can see how few of the best schools in the state are 200 to 300. So that's one data point that said, a lot of people say common sense just tells you small schools are better, but the data doesn't support that, generally. So here's just another way of saying it. About 60% of the schools in the state of the best, the top quartile schools, are over 600, between 600 and 700. Now, Danny, we only have a couple of schools that are in that range, but the point is there's a right-sized elementary school, and it's not the 200 or 300 student range. It's higher than that. This is just Pickens County data. This is from right to left, our best performing schools. Clemson is our best performing elementary school, then Forest Acres, then Ambler, then Holly Springs, and it goes on down the line. And you can see our poor performing schools.
Is that test scores?
That's based on state testing and other criteria that's used to kind of rank our schools. So what I want to show you is 60% of our schools, of our best performing schools, are the larger schools. Travel time. There's been a lot of discussion about travel time. You've got to be busing students all over the county. I apologize, it's probably hard to see, but the light blue dots up there represent where students live. The light blue is Holly Springs students, where they live in relation to the school. The school's right over in here. It's not where the word is, kind of over here. A.R. Lewis is the same thing. This area is A.R. Lewis. The darker blue is A.R. Lewis. You can see the concentration of those dots. Most of the A.R. Lewis school students live actually closer to town than they did the school already. And it's about 50-50 with Holly Springs. A bunch of the students actually live closer to Pickens than they do the school, the old school. So we're not busing students all over the county. And Danny told me the other day we don't have a single student riding longer than 90 minutes, which is state law, right, Danny? So we're meeting the state law on transportation. So that's the end of that. And I got one more quick thing. I talked about long-term planning. We asked Danny and his staff to put together some better plans so we can know what's headed toward us with our buildings. So they put together this document. It's huge. It's 38 pages. But it's a page for each of the schools. Here's East End Elementary. Shows you the capacity, current enrollment, tells you about the school, what kind of heating there, and so forth. And it tells you, not even on this, I should have to find another slide, major considerations. It tells us what needs to be done. So whatever school that was, Forest Acres needs paving and is in poor condition. It also needs something done about traffic too, I understand. I've never been down there. It's my school getting out time. But what they've done, they put together, and I appreciate Danny doing this, but it was a huge help to me because being new on the board, I didn't know all these schools. Alex or some of the guys have been there a long time. They knew all these schools and everything about them, but I didn't. So it's been very helpful. Paving at that school, West End needs a few things. Getty's needs Carlo, heating, air, gym has to be replaced, and it's getting into useful life. So this is not online yet, but we want to put this on the school website so you can pull it up and look at it. But it's been very beneficial to us. That's my granddaughter's school. they need a bus loop. I get that from the principal every time I go pick her up, so. And Neil, I don't know how long I went, but that's the end of my presentation.
great.
If you have any questions, ask Neil. He has all the answers.
Very good. Now we're to the city mayor.
As most of you saw those charts up there, saw where Easley ranked. I think that in the last census, the city of Easley grew 13% as opposed to the county, and the county grew 6%. So, you know, it's not, I get tired of reading in the paper about Easley wants everything. Easley wants everything. But I think the population dictates what we are requesting. Just like you did, I know you were in the elementary grade, but we still want another junior high school there. And, you know, I don't think the people at Eagley is going to risk it. Listen, 1,300 students in a junior high. I just put it that way, Tom. And anyway, but we're growing. We continue to grow. Right now, we've got 3 subdivisions on the book. We got an apartment complex coming, 250 units. I don't know what we're going to do with these people at schools. The schools are really, most of it is east, down there where the Forest Acres, West End. So, you know, we are looking at what's going to happen. We have a long-range plan, just met the other day, about our recreation facilities. You know, we're big in recreation. And have a great committee serving on that. We have 38 acres called the Natalie Brown project. The way that thing got started, the school district is going to come in with us. It's going to be a nature park. They backed out. We bought. They gave it to us, and we put $150,000 in our budget this year to do something with that nature park. The Doodle Trail is coming downtown. That's fixing to start. The park up there at the Doodle Head, we went out to bids. This past week, that's a $500,000 park. It'll be nice. That's on this side. So that's a big thing. But what we're planning in this recreation is not just increasing that park down there. We have 38 acres down there also. We're looking at the low-income spot in the city where possibly we can put another park. So you see, we know how we're growing. And like I said, I just get tired of reading. You just tore up about, oh, I wish we would do this, and we do this. If we didn't get a plan, where would we be? So anyway, we have bought 45 houses and 14 pieces of land. We made our last payment last council meeting. That is to bring the Doodle Trail down there, but that's not the main reason we bought that. We're going to upgrade a certain part of our town, our community. So we were in the real estate business right now, but we won't soon get out of it. We don't compete with anybody. Chris, you think of anything else that's growing?
No, I mean, as he said, the master plan is for parks and recreation, and a lot of the cities what we're doing, but there's so many things going on with that. We've got community involvement, we've got citizen committees, so it's not just council members making decisions. We're heavily involved in the citizens and communities, bring them in and say, we don't live in the community, what do you think? So we're taking that input. We're looking at some low-income housing, possibly partnering with some developers or partnering with some organizations to look at low-income housing. The properties that we bought, we didn't displace families per se. There were some areas that maybe sheriff